Hello. How is everybody doing? Second live of the day. First one was a little slow, so we're going to try again and see if we can get a little more watch hours than we had earlier. So if you're watching back and you look back at our channel and notice that I've had 2 lives, it's because I need the watch hours and I got time right now. So usually we have church on Saturday evenings, but with the weather we were unable to. So we're going to hop on live right now. If you're playing back and watching, please make sure that you like and subscribe. If you're coming on just now, if you double tap the screen, if you just take your finger and you tap it twice, that will like this video. It will help me in the algorithm, will help me maybe become monetized one day. So if you want to help a girl out, I would genuinely love it. I would genuinely be thankful for it 100%. And you know, liking is free. And you know, I don't know if is there a dislike button on live? I mean, if you don't like me and you want to dislike it, it ain't gonna hurt my feelings. So just do something. Just do something. That way the algorithm, the YouTube people will find me. Please. Pretty please. I know it sounds like I'm begging. But it's because I am begging. Hello, Big John and friends. How are you doing? Thank you so much for commenting, and hopefully you liked the live. Thank you so much. I don't know if I recognize your name. Have you been on here once before? I'd love to, I do this for watch hours, but I also do it to get to know you all and to have conversations and to answer questions and, you know, just to have fun. Lives are typically just carefree and fun. And I think a lot of people just come to my channel for the lives. Thank you so much. I think a lot of people just come for the lives. I don't really know if they necessarily watch my content. If you're new here and you're watching back or you're on here right now, I am a homesteader, a farmer, a farmsteader, whatever you want to call it. We raise our own food and or a lot of our own food. We do get some things from the grocery store. And we're just trying to live life. We just live a slow, simple, love-filled life. We're a tiny little family. There's just 3 of us. But I love it. We love it. We love this simple life. Hello, everybody popping on. If you could please, pretty please, double tap the screen. That will give the video a like. Of course, I love all the comments. I love having conversations with everybody. We are in the US of A. We are in the United States of America. In the southern regions of the United States of America. If you really want to know where I'm from, I always tell people to check out my channel. You'll figure out really quick where I'm from, what area we live in the U.S. You'll figure it out really fast if you go to our channel and check our channel out. You'll and subscribe while you're there, please. But you can figure out really fast. You are from India, amazing. America, absolutely, America. Indiana sucks. I've been through Indiana. But actually, I think when I was a kid, we took a vacation one time in Indiana. How's the weather there? Are you all getting the same type of weather that we're getting here? I'm not from Indiana, no. Not Virginia, no. That's too north for me. That sounds like Virginia and Indiana sound like what would they? That sounds like Yankee places to me. That is the North, buddy. It snowed a couple days ago. So where are you, Logan? Oh, you're in Virginia. I've been to Virginia one time. We drove 12 hours to get a horse. 6 hours up there, 6 hours back in one day. It was a lot. It rained all the way up there, and these people, you had to go over the mountain to get to their place. And I'm trying to think. I can't remember. I cannot remember what part of Virginia it was. But we got up there at the top of the mountain, and a fog hit. And I thought for sure we were going to die. I thought, my Lord, how can we even make it through this? It was bad. And we, of course, had a horse trailer, and I know people behind us were like, these idiots need to get off the road. But we couldn't see our turn. We almost completely missed our turn off. I mean, and everybody else, they're from that area, so they're just driving past us and thinking, gosh, these are idiots. But we couldn't help it. We couldn't see our turn off. Of course, we had a horse trailer on the back. Thank God when we left and we had the horse in tow that it was not it was not foggy then, although it rained for a good while. And so I felt so bad for her because she was getting all rained on. Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, it was like, well, if you're in a foggy area and you've lived there, you've been in that area, you know where the turnoffs and stuff are. You can drive in the fog. But when you're in an area that you don't know nothing about, of course, have a horse trailer and have a big horse trailer behind you. You're in an area you don't know. It's like, literally, guys, you couldn't even see the vehicle in front of you. You could barely see the lights. It was like dim lighting. It was the middle of the morning. It was probably like 5-6 o'clock in the morning. It was dark outside. I mean, it was bad. It was really, really bad. On top of that, it was just rainy that day, and so everything was wet. It was just, I couldn't. I thought we were going to die. I was thinking, we have drove 6 hours to go pick up this horse, and we're going to die in Virginia. We're not going to make it out of here. It was awful. It was scary. Hello. How are you? Hi, Quack Attack. I love that you are a regular now. It brings my heart joy to even look at your name. Is that why you made it that? Because I love it so much. Can I recap my story? The story I was telling was that we had, the very first time I'd ever been through Virginia, or to Virginia, we went to go pick up a horse, and the specific area where we were going to pick up the horse was you had to go over the mountain and then down the other side. So you had to go up the mountain, on top of the mountain, and then down the other side. And we were on top of the mountain where it was really, 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 really foggy that day. And you couldn't even see the vehicle in front of you. You couldn't even see the lights in front of you. We couldn't see the turn off. Of course, we're in an odd place. We're 6 hours from home. And we almost didn't make it. I thought we were going to die. People were like zooming past us, and we almost missed our turn off. It was awful. It was scary. We bred Rocky Mountain horses. They are a endangered species of horse. I highly recommend them. They are a gaited horse. Kind of like a Tennessee walking horse. They're 4-beat, gaited. Really, really smooth ride. Really gentle horses. They're almost pony size, but not quite. They're a little bit bigger than a pony. A pony I think pony is 14 hands and under. And Rocky Mountain horses are 14.3, I think. They have to be 14.3 or over. And my particular horse, her name was BB, and she was 14.3, and she was so much easier to get on than our Tennessee walking horse gelding. We had a Tennessee walking horse gelding. And he was, I don't know how many hands he was. He was way too tall for me. When I would get off of him, I felt like I'd break my ankle. So my little 14-3 girl was perfect. Perfect to get on and off of. She was mean. She was very marish. She was very marish, but she was a beautiful horse, and of course a lot smoother ride than a lot of other horses. They're even smoother than the Tennessee Walking Horse. Very smooth gait, very smooth gait. They are originally from this region, the Appalachian region, and they are trying right now to save the breed over the last couple years, and trying to get other areas outside of the Appalachian region and even outside of the United States to breed Rocky Mountain horses. That way we can expand their breeding and expand them as a horse breed, because they're not a breed that we want to lose. They were actually, Kentucky was pretty late at getting horses, of course, because we live in Rocky Mountain regions, just real, heavy rocks, mountainous, just, some back road stuff. So it was typical for majority of people to not have vehicles, and a lot of people just rode horses. And so the Rocky Mountain horse was something that was very common here. They also make excellent buggy horses. And like I said, they're a really smooth, really easy ride. So they were a horse that kind of got stuck in Appalachia and didn't really, nobody had the breed outside of this area. And so because of that, when vehicles started coming in and it was more common for people to drive vehicles, the breed was endangered. And as far as I know, it's still an endangered species or a breed of horse, but the numbers are picking up a little more than what they have been, which is wonderful. They're a beautiful breed. You're afraid of horses? There should be, I've talked about this before. When you have larger animals, there should be a respect for them. Not necessarily a fear, but a respect. You should know that a horse, can kill you, hurt you, harm you, brutally. And so you need to have a respect for the animal. Not necessarily a fear, but a respect for them. You said you're afraid of getting kicked. I think I would be more worried about them biting me than kicking me. As long as you're not at their rear unexpectedly, they're typically not going to kick you, unless they're just kind of a wild type horse. But horses can bite as well, and when they bite, they can hurt you severely. And so really, if you have a fear of horses, especially if it's an irrational fear, a horse is able to feel that fear. And it's probably best not to get around them until you can get, that fear out of you, because you don't want to, they're herd animals. So they feel what you feel. And so if you're in their herd area and you feel fearful, then they feel like they have a reason to feel fearful as well. It's the same way with goats and sheep and chickens and things like that. When they're in big, flocks, big herds, cattle, when one scares, they all scare. When one runs, they all run. And so when you have irrational fear, or a fear that is overwhelming you when you're around a herd type animal, it can cause you to be hurt, maybe not intentionally by the animal, but it can cause you to be hurt, severely, depending on how large the animal is. And so I feel like, which we've always taught our daughter, to be able, to pay attention to how an animal, to read their signs, to read their body language. I tell her that all the time. When you're with an animal, read their body language. Their body language is going to be able to tell you how they feel about a certain situation. So horses pin their ears back. They'll lay their ears back when they're unhappy. Mares tend to do it a little bit more because mares are spicy and they act like they're in a bad mood for absolutely no reason. But they'll pin their ears back. They get antsy with their feet. There's just there's sounds that they make. They act different. Their tails could be up. It just depends on the animal. Rabbits are different. We raise and, breed rabbits. Rabbits have, they pin their ears back when they're not happy as well. They grunt, they make noises. But an animal 9 times out of 10, not always, but 9 times out of 10, if they're feeling, if they are going to hurt you, there's usually 99.9% of the time, their body will tell you what they're, rather they're going to hurt you. Their body will let you know rather they're uncomfortable in a situation, scared. And here's the thing. When you pin an animal in the corner, no matter what type of animal it is, they're going to fight. And, it's the same thing for us as humans. If somebody pins you in the corner, your reaction should be to fight. And so the worst emotion you want an animal to feel is fear. Because fear can be a killer and they can hurt you. Any animal can hurt you pretty severely just out of fear. And while I'm talking about this, I think a lot of like people and dogs. A lot of times you'll hear on the news, such and such dog hurt this child or hurt this person or hurt this or hurt that. And a lot of times it's out of fear. A lot of times you can, I can look at somebody's Facebook and they've got a kid and they've got that kid hugging a pit bull, and you can look at the pit bull and you can look at the dog that they have and you can tell that dog is extremely uncomfortable, but they just allow that to happen. And like I said, the worst emotion an animal can feel is fear, because they'll do anything out of fear. An animal, most breeds of animal have just a self-preservation in them. They will not come back for their babies. They will not come back for it's go for them. There's no there is some specific breeds that will protect their babies at all costs, but there's other breeds that will leave their babies in the dust. Rabbits are like that. Rabbits will leave their babies even if they have an inkling of any kind of fear within them. They will eat their babies. They will pee on their babies. They will unalive their babies. They will stomp their babies. And it's the same way with larger breeds of animals. Sometimes some particular breeds will take care of their babies. Some particular breeds will fight for their babies. Cows are known, a cow, a heifer will fight for her calf. But in some instances, within that fight, within that fear for her calf, she will hurt her calf. And so it goes both ways. But like I said, the worst emotion an animal can feel is fear, because fear in humans, fear in animals, you got that fight or flight, and you're going to defend yourself at all costs. And so that's, and it just depends on the animal, but a lot of times your larger type animals will defend themselves and hurt you or unalive you very quickly out of fear. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. There's been a lot of comments, so let me scroll up here. Let me see. Somebody said, thankfully that made the story better. Good morning. How are you? You're from India. You're probably not on here anymore. There's only 2 people on here. You're afraid of horses. I was chasing a big white horse last Sunday. Do not recommend. You're afraid of getting kicked. They have big, strong teeth and a strong bite. Yes. We know of a guy, local. I believe he was local. We had went to a particular breeder's house to breed one of our mares, and I believe he was local. He had a horse bite down on his arm and like took all of it. Like he bit down and destroyed the innards of his arm, the muscle, the tissue, everything. Hey Ben, if I didn't say hello to you yet. You said I will always let you know when I'm going to hurt you. Instinct kicks in. Yeah, absolutely. Bears will 100%. They will fight for their young. You said, yes, them heifers will fight when you try to drink milk from the tap. A solo cow that's not in a group is dangerous. Yeah. They get angry. 100%. Yes, he did survive. His arm did not, though. And he was, somebody's been around horses probably his whole life. He was a horse breeder, probably a horse trainer as well. But they're, dangerous. Dangerous. Moose are very dangerous. Yeah. I've never been around a moose, but I've seen enough videos of them, moving tons of, male mooses. Or the female, I guess I would figure the females would be dangerous as well over their calves. But yeah, large animals tend to be pretty, they'll fight, for their young. Like I mentioned though, as well, rabbits will not fight for their young, but they will fight for their lives. Female rabbits are actually, I don't even know how the term came about, breeding like rabbits, because literally female rabbits, does are horrible mothers. They're awful. Like the first time they kit, majority, not every single time, but most of the time they will neglect their young, reject their young, kill their young. I had a doe the other day, and I've had it happen 2 or 3 times before this that was eating her babies. She ate her babies the other day. I had a particular doe a couple months ago that the kits had froze, and they had frozen throughout the night. And when I came in that next morning, she had started eating on one before I could get them out from freezing. And so, rabbits it's survival of the fittest for them, and they will choose their lives every single time before they choose their kits' lives. They will harm or hurt their kits. They will growl and fight if they're, good mothers. But I've had does that just starve their kits to death, don't feed them. I've never had a doe, I don't think, maybe I have, pee on their babies. They don't mother. Rabbits only feed their babies twice a day. They don't sit on the nest. They don't sit with their babies. They don't, lay with their babies. And like I said, they only feed them twice a day. I always say that a kit, a baby rabbit, needs its siblings more than it needs its mother. Now, I have not had success shelving a rabbit. Shelving means keeping the rabbit throughout the day and then the mother feeding it. I've only had one instance where I tried to shelf a rabbit and the baby did not make it. But but the does are just they're rough. They're not very good mothers in general. Now, I have noticed that some of them, when their kits get bigger, they'll play with them and love on them and lick them and clean them and stuff. But especially first-time mama rabbits, you can almost 100% expect them to, I actually say prepare yourself for them to neglect their babies. Prepare yourself for them to be bad mothers. That way you're not disappointed. That way you're not shocked when you come in and they have killed their young. I had a doe that had a litter of 13, and she just decided that that was more than she wanted to take care of. So she would throw her babies out of the nest. She would kill them. So it's they're a rowdy bunch. And thank you, Mike. Hey Rodney. They're a rowdy bunch. Big and Rowdy Ranch Life YouTube channel is legit. I've never heard of them. Has anybody else heard of them? Mike, have you heard of them? Pure Alaska. Ben, if you're still on here, I've never heard of them. I've got the whole crew on here tonight. This is going to be a fun one. But yeah, those are, I always say, just to prepare yourself, especially with the first time mama, just prepare yourself for the ultimate worst. Because when I first started breeding rabbits, many years ago, it feels like, when I first started breeding rabbits, we had rabbits as pets, just kind of outdoor pets. But I had never bred them. I had never bred them before. The first time I bred this particular doe, I came in and it was a complete massacre. It was, the worst. It was way more than I was ever prepared to see. There was, parts of babies and, a mess everywhere. I came in, it was cannibalism and it was more than I even knew was possible. And so, it was more, yes, she ate her babies. Yes. She also threw them out of the nest and chewed on some of it. It was bad. It was a mess. And so I just was not, I was just not prepared for that. And so when I do YouTube videos and when I talk about rabbits, I tell people, if you're going to breed rabbits, just prepare yourself for the absolute worst, because honestly, before that situation, I don't believe I had ever prepared myself for cannibalism. I had never prepared my mind, my body, my soul, and my spirit for cannibalism. And just, that's pretty bad. It was pretty shocking, for my mind to grasp. That was the start of our homestead. And so I wasn't familiar, really with much death, in general, especially at that, it was murder. So, just couldn't, I told my husband, I looked at him and I was panicking. I was crying. I had no clue what to do. I was like, he had never raised rabbits, so he didn't know what to do. And I was like, we've got one baby left. She hasn't, the one baby that I tried to shelf, I was telling you all about, she had cut him, but he had made it. He had several cuts on him. I tried to keep him alive. He didn't I think he made it to 7 days. But I couldn't keep him alive. And, it was just really bad. Well, I called the vet. I'm like, I have got a mother rabbit who has killed her young and is eating them. And I've got one kit. What do I need to do? And they were absolutely no help. They said, you're going to have to bottle feed the baby. Good luck, is what they said. I was like, well, thank you for that, And I didn't have any mentors at the time, so I didn't have anybody to speak to about it. So that's why I say what I say. Most of the time, first time mom rabbits will kill their babies for sure. Yeah, they will. I just recently, over the winter, I've got a mama that has babies right now. That was her second litter of babies. Her first litter of babies, she starved to death. She didn't even feed them. Welcome, Alan. Let me see. They will chew them to kill them. Yep, they will. Don't know why they do it, but they will. The only thing that I can think, and for those of you that raise rabbits, I don't know if Mike has ever had any issues with it. I don't know if anybody else raises rabbits. It sounds like Alan. Do you raise rabbits? The only thing that I can think, and I've talked to other people, I feel like it's more for self-preservation. I feel like they don't, want a smell or a stink, or just the evidence of them having babies, to come to light. And so for first time moms, they just panic and they want to clean everything up. I've heard of goats and have seen goats over groom their babies. I've also heard of rabbits over grooming their babies. I had recently, probably about a year or so ago, there was a girl on Facebook that had a mother goat over groom her babies, her kids, and she gnawed their hooves off and even up to their, you could see bone. And she had two babies and both of them ended up dying. She gnawed the hoofs off one. And then these people weren't familiar, I don't think, with goats in general. And then she, gnawed the other one. And so they had to be put down. They didn't have hooves. They were, she gnawed them to the bone, just overdoing it. And I think sometimes rabbits can do that as well. We had a rabbit that kept killing her babies, so we made barbecue out of her. Barbecue rabbit sounds pretty good. That does. Rabbits aren't as innocent as I thought. No, they're not. Rabbits are going to go extinct. That's why, when we first got into rabbits, everybody's like, you're going to have babies all over the place, and they're going to breed like crazy, and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know who spread these false facts, but rabbits are awful. They're awful at breeding. Just underweight too little or overweight too little. They can't reproduce. They kill their young. They refuse to feed their young. They get, it's just a mess. Anything can eat them. They're at the very bottom of the food chain. Birds, dogs, coyotes, possums, raccoons, anything can eat them. They're on the, they are literally at the bottom of the food chain. So I really don't know where all these false things were spreading, but yeah, I don't know how rabbits have actually made it this far, to be honest. We had a billy goat. He was so crazy. They sold him back 4 times. Satan ran. Rabbits are baby killing machines. They absolutely are. What if rabbits are trying to end their own species? It's very possible. I wouldn't doubt it. We had a buck goat. I've talked to Mike about him. I've probably talked on him on here before. We've had a couple that were aggressive. One passed away from polio. It was like, so I got a mason jar here. Here's my legs. He wanted to do this to me all the time. His name was Chance. And he just wanted to do this, just ran me all the time. And he wanted to get me in the corner. And just he cornered me one time up against a brick wall. And I couldn't do anything. And so, I was in a little tiny corner. There was a fence here that was 4 feet high. It was cattle wire or hog wire, whatever you want to call it. It was 4 feet tall. I'm up against a brick wall on this side and a brick wall on that side. There was no way, and he was here. He had me in the corner, and I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get out, and so I just had to fight my way out. We had one buck like that, and then we had another buck whose name was Mo, and he had picked me up like where your pelvic bone is. He had picked me up one time and pushed me up against a fence. It's actually my chicken coop. He had his horns on my pelvic bone and had me lifted up off the ground. And the thing about boar goats, I know, other goats are big, but boar goats are huge. They're, huge. They're the size of a calf. Not a baby calf either. They're large. They're, can be 200 pounds. And so they're very large. And of course they're strong. Goats are strong. And so he had me lifted up off the ground, and I'm glad that he sold. Actually, I sold him. And after those people bred him to the does, I had seen he was posted on Facebook, and she messaged me, and I asked her how the goats were going, and she said, "We're selling Mo." She said, "He's just a little too aggressive for me." And I was thinking, yeah, girlfriend, I don't blame you, because he was a little too aggressive for me as well. He wasn't handled much, though. When we bought him, he just wasn't handled very much. Actually, we had to drag him by the horns into the trailer. So, and he was, hefty. He was probably about 150 pounds when we got him. And of course, we had him for a couple years, so he was massive. Let me read what the comments say. Let's see. He thought he was a goat. Have you ever milked goats? No, I've not. I've had milk from goats, but our goats were meat goats. They were boars, and boars don't produce very much milk. They hardly produce enough milk for their kids, much less for human consumption. So I didn't milk our goats. That's one of the reasons we sold them. They're not very good mothers either. I have a knack for buying rabbits or buying animals that are not good mothers. So boar goats are not very good mothers. Actually, they're so bad at reproducing that multiple farms in our area that raise and breed show quality, pedigreed, the best lines you can find of boar goats. They actually AI New Zealand. New Zealand, or is it New Zealand? They AI a specific breed or any other breed that are good mothers and high producing, milk producing. Okay. They AI a female goat that is not the boar breed, with boar semen and boar eggs. So they put a female boar's eggs and male semen in a completely different, it's a surrogacy, completely different goat to raise boar goat, show quality boar goat animals, because boar goats are horrible breeders. They're horrible mothers. They don't produce enough milk. They're not a good breed overall. Honestly, we got into them because they were beautiful, because they were large, because they were a meat breed, but they were literally the worst thing I've ever raised in my life. The worst thing I've ever raised in my life. I hated the boar goats. They had horrible feet. They were horrible at reproducing. They were horrible mothers. We had a lot of miscarriages, a lot of failed pregnancies, a lot of stillbirths. It was a lot. And it was awful. So I don't recommend the boar goat breed for nothing. I don't know any other breed of goat, but that's the breed I would not recommend. What'd you say? Are goats considered cattle? I wouldn't think so. Goats are more like, they're closely related to deer, so they must have learned from humans. I don't know. I don't like boar goats. You have boar goats now? Oh, I hate them. I hate the breed. Deer versus goat, who wins? Probably a goat. I'd put my money on the goat. 100% of the time, I'd put my money on the goat. Oh, you said I hate boar goats. So you've had boar goats as well? I don't like the breed as a whole. After all that stuff you said, I have a strong dislike for boar goats. They're beautiful, honestly. They're 100% beautiful. But they're rough. It's a rough breed to raise. And then you're talking about violence. Essentially a boar goat is, they can be very, very large. Very large. Like I said, they're like a calf. A decent sized calf, like a 200-pound calf. Sorry, there's something itching my foot. They can be very large and very dangerous, especially if you're small, in stature, if you're a child, even, and I'm going to play the woman card here, even if you're a woman. I'm not tiny. I'm 5'6". So I'm not a tiny person by no means. I'm not going to give my weight, but I don't weigh. I'm not little either. I'm not, one of those girls that's like 100 pounds soaking wet. I'm a decent size. And, a 200-pound goat ain't nothing to mess with at my size. And I feel like, oh my gosh, there's something itching me so bad. I feel like, don't you hate when your foot itches? This is awful. It's like, oh my gosh. It's itching off. Or I wanted it to itch off. It was itching really bad. But when you're little, athlete's foot, no, it's like my ankle. It's right at my ankle. Like where your, like that spot where like your ankle is and then your heel is, that thing that's in between on either side. That's what it is. My feet, country girl fluffy. That's what I'm going to call it every time now. I'm just country girl fluffy. I eat good. Ain't nobody starving around here. Ain't nobody starving. I don't know what it's called, but it's itching. It's still itching. I think there's a hair or something in there. I got long hair, so hair gets in my socks when I wash them. Do I have a deep freezer? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Deep freezer, and we've got one in the house and one in the garage, the farm. Let me see. You said you wouldn't mess with a 200-pound animal. Yeah, it's, when you're smaller, it's harder. Now, my husband was able to handle him pretty easy, able to handle, a 200-pound goat pretty easy, but not so much me. If I had a big freezer, I'd keep a large animal in it. Is he a big guy? He's 6'1". He's not like big, like fat. I don't know what a way to say that. He probably weighs like 180. Country people know what's good. No, he doesn't. He's not, but he's strong. He's built, I guess is the way to put it. I don't know how to say it. He would be so embarrassed if I said that. Did he wrestle? No, he's just built. His arms are massive. He's just strong. He's worked outside his whole entire life. He's worked construction his whole entire life until he became a farmer. But I don't know if you know many farmers, but farmers are strong. Very strong. I know 80-year-old men that are still that outwork young men any day. You can take somebody that's a city slicker and put them in a hayfield, and then you can take like wrestling goats. You like wrestling your goats, and then you can take a farmer, an 80-year-old farmer, and the 80-year-old farmer will outdo the city slicker anytime, any place. Let me see. Is he a hardy guy? He could handle it, but yeah, did he wrestle? You love wrestling your goats because they work hard and eat good. I wouldn't say they eat good, but but they work hard. Brock Lesnar grew up on a farm. When they act up, I teach them who's boss work. I'm 6'2" and over 300, stout as an ox too. Yeah. He's I don't know, he's just, I don't know how to explain. I guess the best way to explain it is he's very athletic built. Like my dad and my brother are like ox. Like they're massive up top. Like they're real broad, real bulky. My dad was a bodybuilder, so he's pretty large up top. Well, he's large, on he's everywhere, I guess, but I don't look beneath the belt lines. But my dad is very large. He's very large built, very wide, very broad, and my brother is too. They're very, I don't know how to explain. They come out to like right here. They're very wide. They're built like a brick wall. Andy's more athletic built. He's built like, he looks like somebody could run. And his arms are like that big, and I don't know how to explain it, but that's just how he's built. He's built strong, and he always said that his papa was like that too. They're just really athletically built. Just, I don't know how to explain it, but he's very strong. My husband is very strong. He can do a lot more than what I can do, for sure. Let me see. Been in the hayfields all your life. I don't envy you. I hate hayfields. I hate working in the hay. The reason why I hate working in the hay, though, is because usually you're working in the summertime, and in the summertime you're hot and sweaty, and that hay is coming out. It's not necessarily the work. I love working hard. I love doing hard labor. I know that sounds crazy, but I love working outside and doing, the hard stuff. I love it. My daughter's the same way. Even if something isn't hard, she'll talk about how hard it is that she's doing it. And I know she gets that from me because I love doing hard stuff. I love, just having the accomplishment of doing something hard. It's the hay sticking to you. You're already covered in sweat. It's 100 degrees outside, and the hay sticking to you. That feeling. I hate it. I hate it so much. But that's the worst part. Let me see. My husband he probably does. He had a he had a 6-pack when me and him got together. He's got more of a dad pack now, but don't tell him I said that. When is Andy doing his knife collection live? He's not. He's not. You know how he is. I can't hardly get him on camera. I've gotten him, I think, in both videos this week, but I snuck those in and forced him to do it. He won't do a live. I've begged and pleaded with him, and he said absolutely not. He will not sit in front of a camera. Yeah, it absolutely does. It does make you strong. He said, I'm a big boy, but I've been throwing hay. But yeah, you can tell who's actually worked out in the fields when they get 80, 90 years old, because they're still built just, crazy. He's I can't see the belt line anyways most of the time. Dirty job, but somebody has to do it. Yeah, that's true. We always bought our hay out of the field. Now last year it was a drought, and we couldn't hardly get our hands on hay, and everybody's out now. So we're paying $5 more a bale now, from a local feed store supplier. But the hay that we were getting $3 a bale out of the field. So we would load it, and back when we had horses, we would do about 2 truckloads stacked to the hood, maybe a little higher, full-size truckloads, and then sometimes a trailer, just a small trailer. But we don't have to do that anymore. But the hay shortage this year has caused some issues. You said $8 a bale for second cut here and $6 a bale for first cut. Yeah, it's Kentucky's different. I didn't realize how different we were on prices until I had this channel and I got to talking to people. $8 a bale is like alfalfa. That's like straight alfalfa. $8 a bale is. It's $25 for a roll bale. But like I said, if we get it out of the field, it's $3 a bale if we load it ourselves. Yeah. I mean, $6 a bale is like, you're completely running out of hay and but now, like I said, we're having to pay $8 a bale, which is crazy, You said your hay bale is about $1,000 a year for Nigerian dwarf goats. Yeah. See, that sounds insane to me. What I feed the rabbits is mixed grass, clover. What I was feeding until we ran out of the other day was mixed grass. I can't think. It probably had a little alfalfa in it. Didn't have much clover, but had some. The bales that I'm feeding now has a lot of clover in it. I don't know what else it's got in it because I didn't buy it. Andy did, but yeah, alfalfa is about $8 a bale here. Yeah, it's $25 straight out of the field here for roll bales. We've never paid anything higher than $25. You love eating hay? Our daughter loves chewing on hay. Fuel prices. Yeah, well, see, and fertilize. Fertilize has gotten so high around here that farmers aren't even doing it. They can't do it. So it's either they raise their price, from $3 to $5, $5 a bale, or from 3 to 5 or 6 or 8 or however much, but they can't afford fertilize. I can't remember what the price is, not last year, but the year before last. Fertilize got so high that a lot of the farmers didn't fertilize their fields, their hay fields, which of course makes it rough. But then on top of that, we had drought. And so drought has really kicked into the hay supply. I don't think there was no third cutting last year. There wasn't. I don't know one farmer that had a third cutting. Some probably didn't even get a second cutting. Drought was bad. It was really bad. It was the beginning when the grass got so high, it was wet. The spring was soaked. And then we didn't have any rain from July to like September, August, September, maybe even October. And so there wasn't any rain from July until fall, essentially. And so they got that first cutting in, and then it, without fertilize and no rain, nobody had any hay. Like I said, we had to buy it just like a few bales at a time. Instead of having one supplier, we had to use multiple suppliers, to get it off of here and there. And then they're out. That's it. There's no more. They got to save it for their cattle and their horses and things. And so like I said, we're having to buy it from a local feed store at $8 a bale. And it stinks having to buy it at $8 a bale, but it is what it is. They got to eat. So just do what you got to do. Let me see. You said Trump sending all that cheap help back. Sorry. The American flag. Manure is cheap. You already paid for it one time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the one guy that we get at $3 a bale out of the field, he don't have any cattle. He's getting up in age. He's probably 80 some years old. And so all he raises is hay. That's all he raises. So he don't have any cattle. And majority, or horses or anything like that, majority of people that have cattle will use manure. But our other supplier leases multiple fields to supply hay. He's got cattle, but his fields are leased. So I don't know how much, manure he can get in one area. He's got, multiple leases that he's got going on. So I don't really know. Let me see. Do we raise chickens? Absolutely. Yes, we raise chickens. We probably raise, I don't know, 200 head a year, maybe more than that, of chickens. My husband has exotic chickens, and then I raise big stocks. Big stock chicken egg layers. And so we raise quite a few. We just hatched off probably 20 chickens. A couple weeks ago, we hatched off probably, I don't know, 2 incubators, almost every egg hatched. So 40, probably 50 before that. And then before that, we've got chicks everywhere right now, and chickens everywhere right now. Cost of eggs. I could probably buy a small farm with the amount of eggs that I got right now. I've got 18 carton here. Let's see. 4, 5. I've got 5 dozen. 5 dozen sitting there. 18 there and probably 10 there. So I don't know how many eggs that is. Let me see. 18. Let's see. I don't know. It's a lot. I think there's more cartons back there. So we've got eggs galore. What'd I say? 5 dozen. 5. I'm finding more. So we've got them everywhere. We could probably buy a small farm. The prices of eggs. I love chickens as well. I love them a lot. I love having them. I love raising them. My daughter loves them. She's been raised with chickens her whole life. And you love eggs. Let me see. I'll grab this. I've got some right here. This is not all of our colors, but I've got them all. Let me see. These are the big stock eggs. So I have pink eggs, tan eggs, green. They don't look very green, but it's green. I have olive green, and they call these Moran eggs, chocolate eggs. And then I have little silky eggs. That's a silky Bainham cross. She lays little eggs compared to this hen. But yeah, we've got eggs galore right now. And then all the rest of those cartons are his exotics. I'm trying to think if I've ever gotten a double yolk. Maybe a couple times. We more commonly get fairy eggs. I don't know how many fairy eggs I've found from hens. We have so many fairy eggs. If you've never seen a fairy egg, I've got a YouTube video, a short, that shows fairy eggs. They're tiny. We keep them. My mother-in-law has them preserved. They're like this little, they're like that big. Yeah, double yolks can be twins. There's people have hatched off twins before in chickens. Let me see. Have you had any double yolks? We used to, or double yolks. They don't taste the same? What do you mean? What do they taste like? Oh, you said don't know they taste the same. That's what you meant. I never drank raw egg. I don't think I could do it. The only raw egg I've had is in, brownies. No, I don't think I could do the raw egg drinking. My cousin used to drink raw eggs every morning. He'd have 2 raw eggs. That's more than I can. Mike, are you on here? I've got a question for you if you are. Alan, are you a farmer? Are you a gardener? Because you might be able to answer my question too if Mike's not on here. Let me see. So, these are my sprouted onions. I have store-bought onions that have sprouted. I've never planted sprouted store-bought onions in the garden, but I want to try. If I planted these, what do you think would happen? They've all sprouted. I bought a bag, and the entire bag sprouted almost. Well, maybe not the entire bag, but look. I've got 5 sprouted onions. That one's getting soft. Oh, it smells so good. Do you think I can plant these and they'd be fine? I've never done it. I thought I could. That was my thought process. I was like, I'm going to keep them and then maybe I can plant them. That's what I was thinking. Just split them. You said they grow feet and become giant in Rampage. I wonder, so Mike, let's form a hypothesis. A hypothesis. So if I planted these right now, should I be able to pick these in the fall? You think? And if I plant these, do I need to cover them because they're green? And we're not out of frost danger yet. So I should split them, plant them, cover them, and then do you think I could get them in the fall? They should do well in the fall. Or would the fall be too late? Should I try summer? I've just never planted store-bought. Actually, I've never hardly planted onions at all. I don't know. I've not been an expert onion planter. I do plan to plant onions from seed here in a couple days, hopefully, when the weather warms up. I think that onion had something sticky on it because it's on my hand now. It's on my hand. So I'm going to keep those then. Alan said he would cover them. Jacqueline says need to be covered, but should be planted after last frost of year. Okay. Okay. I don't know when our last frost date is. I haven't looked. What zone are you all in, Mike or Jacqueline? Jackie. Which zone are you all in? I think we're in 6A, 6B. We're in zone 6. One of the A's or B's. Also, did you all start your loofah seeds inside? I'm going to assume that you all started your loofah gourds inside. Okay. Let me see. So when is your all's last frost date then? Yeah, well, our last frost date is, it's after Easter, I think. My seeds are taking a long time to come through the soil, and I was reading it right now. Let's see, germination. Oh, 10 to 20 days. I thought it was like 10 to 14 days. This is 10 to 20. So that's probably it. I hadn't read them since. Now, I do have cabbage, and I have both the round Dutch cabbage and the Market Early that are already up. And so I'll have to transplant them probably in a week or so, because they're already sprouting. They're beautiful. They're beautiful little sprouts. But I'm ready to get in the garden. I said that with aggression because I'm tired of winter. I'm over it. I want the sun in my face and my hands in the dirt is what I want. I want to be out in the garden working. I want to be out there so bad. I can't stand it. I hate the cold too. Me and you both. I hate it. I despise it. I hate the cold. The only good thing about the cold is that it kills off a lot of the bugs, and we don't have issues with bugs. And of course it kills, it kills some things off for livestock. But besides that, I hate it. I hate the cold. I hate being cold. I hate the weather. I'm a summer girl. I'm a summer girl. I like the heat. I like the warmth. Winter is my favorite, or fall is my favorite season. I do not like winter. I do not like it at all. We started seeds in cups, then they was tall enough to plant in the garden after frost time. Yeah, I've started tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. I didn't start much, but I started Roma tomatoes and the cabbage. Well, when I planted the cabbage, I put 4 seeds in each cup, and so I'll have to transplant some of them to different cups because I put 4 seeds in them. I would go get my tray, but it's all the way down. It's in the back of the house. And so I would be gone off of live for a hot minute, and that would be weird. So maybe next live I'll bring them up here. Probably should have done that. But I need to transfer them over because some of them have 4 seeds that actually came up. So I can't have 4 cabbages in one little cup. Fall is your favorite? Fall is my favorite. I look forward to all the fall activities. I get my apples in the fall for canning, and usually the canning is kind of, I don't know, it's like the end of canning in the fall by the time fall comes around, and it's just nicer weather. I just like being out. Tomato sandwich, Duke's mayo, salt and pepper. I'm not a tomato sandwich girl, but I love tomatoes on cheeseburgers. Love tomatoes on. I don't know. I don't like tomato by itself. I know it's awful. How in the world could I be an Appalachian with not liking tomatoes just like by themselves? But I don't. I don't. I do like them with things. I grow a lot of tomatoes because I can a lot of tomatoes. I put a lot of tomatoes up. Actually, I think that's what these 2 jars I've got sitting on the table. I made chili, and these had tomatoes in them. I raise a lot of tomatoes, grow a lot of tomatoes. I think we grew close to 70 plants last year. I stopped counting when we planted the first 61, but then after we planted the first 61, we planted many more. That's including cherry tomatoes, and then we got some more Romas, and I don't know, we had close to 70 tomato plants last year. I love it. I love raising tomatoes. I love canning tomatoes. I do the canning for my mother-in-law, or I did last year for my mother-in-law and myself. And so I love canning tomatoes. I love salsa. Oh, I love salsa. We've been out of, I didn't grow enough cans of salsa last year. I didn't make enough cans of salsa last year. I wish I would have made more, but it was delicious and I loved it. Tomatoes are kind of tasteless to me. Have you had a garden tomato? Same with watermelon. I can't taste either one. There's only been one watermelon that I've ever grown that I actually really, really liked. But I'm not a big watermelon eater either because a lot of times I feel like watermelons have to grow in like the perfect conditions in order for them to actually have a good, rich, deep taste. Where they actually have a taste and don't taste like water, you know? And so we've only raised one watermelon that I liked. I think it was a sugar baby that I liked, that we actually really enjoyed. Or that I actually really enjoyed. Everybody else likes watermelon. I don't know. Tastes like, you're like chewing on water, you know? And I don't like the texture of water. Same with watermelon. You can see, I eat tomato with salt. Eat it like an apple. My husband does too. He loves cherry tomatoes. Him and my mother-in-law will be out there just picking the cherry tomatoes off and just popping them in one after another. And I can eat a tomato. Like, I can eat it. I can enjoy it to a certain extent. But it's almost like I only like a little bit of it. You know what I mean? It's like something rich. You know, like when you eat something like chocolate or it's like really, really rich and you only can eat like a little bit of it. That's a tomato to me. Like, I put it on a sandwich and I'll eat like half my sandwich with the tomato and half my sandwich without the tomato. It's just like something that just like, you know, like I have the same reaction in my mouth as something rich. Like, you have something rich, you just can't finish it. That's kind of what a tomato is to me. I don't know how to explain it. Well, if you know anything about me, I'm guessing you're probably new here and you haven't watched my YouTube videos. I do not water the garden. I am a firm believer in letting the plants survive on their own. We water just a little bit. We water our plants in when we plant them. Of course, we water our seeds in. But I'm a big proponent of not watering even in drought. We had severe drought last year. Like I said, it didn't rain from July until October, and I believe I watered the garden twice. I'm not a big waterer. I don't like doing it, and also I feel like, because it's just one more thing you have to do, I spend majority of my time weeding, pulling weeds, and I feel like that is a big thing. I feel like people talk more about watering the garden than they actually talk about preparing the plants for things like drought. So I really like to I hill all of my plants up, which hilling, because I'm a redneck, it probably didn't sound right. I pull the dirt up around the plant and make a hill underneath the bottom of the plant. I also try to keep weeds out of my garden. If you hill your plants and keep weeds out of your garden and you're not watering, you're just waiting for the earth to water, I feel like you're going to have stronger, healthier plants. Maybe they don't produce as well if you water, but also, like you're saying, you can cause all kinds of issues by overwatering. You can cause mold, you can cause disease to the plant. Also, you can ruin the taste of plants such as watermelon or tomatoes. Tomatoes can be watery as well if you overwater. So I'm not a big waterer at all, mostly because I'm too lazy to do it. But we have a very large garden, and our garden does not have a spigot anywhere near it. And used to, we had a above ground pool that didn't have any treatment or anything in it. It had sat for a long time. And I would take 5-gallon buckets of water and water each individual plant. But doing that all the time gets old very quickly. So, you know, some days you're just not able to do that. So, hi Smiley, how are you? I just decided, you know what, they don't actually need it that bad. So like I said, we water the plants in. You're back. Yeah, absolutely. We water the plants in, and we might water them a couple times after that. If they get, you know, floppy, we'll water. But for the most part, I just try to keep the weeds out of the garden. I spend more time keeping the weeds out of the garden, keeping the animals hilled up, than I do actually watering the garden, mostly out of laziness. But like I said, I don't feel like people talk about weeding the garden and hilling your plants up and actually just maintaining the area around the plant as much as they talk about watering. I feel like it's more work to hill it up and weed, and watering is just not a task I want to add to that. Maybe if we had a spigot out there, I'd water more, you know, but not this girl. I don't know if you probably haven't checked out our channel, or you are not familiar with our garden, if you're particularly new here, but our garden is large. Very large for for a 5-gallon bucket. A 5-gallon bucket will do 1 row in our garden. So, and our garden is, you know, very large, very large. Like I said, just when I lost count of the tomato plants we had last year, we had 61, and by the end of it, we probably had 70 or over, and that's not including the rows of corn, the rows of cucumbers, the rows of green beans, the rows of pole beans, the okra, the potatoes, the cantaloupe. What else did we grow? The onions, the garlic, the cabbage, the lettuce. We have 3 raised beds, and we have different plots going different ways in the garden. It's large. Are we talking about hilling potatoes? Well, I hadn't got on hilling potatoes, but I was talking about hilling tomato plants and plants in general to keep your moisture around the plants, along with weeding when you hill. We weed both manually by hand. I use a hoe a lot, a grubbing hoe a lot. We also try to keep our rows wide enough in the beginning. Now, with tomatoes and stuff, they kind of spread out. Same things with potatoes. The plant kind of bushes out. Once the plants get to a certain size, we can't get our tiller in there, but we do have a walk behind tiller that we can run through our rows when the plants are smaller. But when they're smaller, we can run the tiller through them, and we set up our rows where we can run the tiller through them. But obviously, when the tomatoes get a certain size, when the potatoes get a certain size, when the plants actually get really large, we can't run the tiller in. So we use a grubbing hoe in our hands to weed the garden. And it's a very large garden, like I said, to do it by hand. It hurts your back. Let's see. You've never hilled tomatoes? I highly recommend it. I've got a video. I wouldn't even know what the video was called. Check out my... I don't know if it would be gardening. I probably had... Okay, I've got a gardening 2023 and I got a garden 2024. Somewhere in those playlists, I'm sure I've got videos on how we hill tomatoes. I hill everything. Everything gets a hill. The beans, I hill up around the beans. Everything gets a hill. It keeps the moisture in, kills them weeds. No, our soil is awful. We have a high clay content, very high clay content. I'd actually like to get it'd be cool to get a soil analysis on our ground, but it would probably come out to 100% clay. We till the garden. We've tilled the garden very, very deep, and all you're gonna get is clay. It's awful. And then on top of that, we live kind of in a swamp area. We have a lot of live springs. It's very wet. Very wet area. But yeah, it's no. The soil sucks down here. It's awful. Now, there is different places in Kentucky. You said to hear you say soul. See, I say soul, and then I say soul. It's 2 different words. I was talking about it the other day, and somebody didn't know what I was talking about. There was a trick question to hear you say soul. No, don't do this to me. I don't even realize I'm saying it, because soul is S-O-U-L. Soul is S-O-I-L. Soul. It's 2 different words. Oh no, he got me. You said we call weed in our language Amara? Is that how you say it? I've never heard of that before, actually. You said weed takes minerals and water from the potatoes. Absolutely they do. Tomatoes, etc. Yes, they do. And that's why I preach and tell people over and over and over again, pull those weeds. A weedy garden is an ugly garden anyways. You know, it's just not as pretty when you have weeds in it. But the weeds pull the nutrients out. They take the moisture from the plant. They also go to seed. You let weeds go to seed, you're going to have a mess. And so just, you know, it honestly, like I said, I preach more on weeding than watering. Because if you can just keep, you said I put my heart and soul into exclamation, the whole out of the soul. I don't know how else to say it. Quit making fun of me. Oh gosh. Y'all are picking on me for no reason. I can't even help it. You said you had to sow different seed for the seek to soul fertility. Oh, to seek your seek for, yeah. Yeah, and I'm not against cover crop. I was talking maybe to Mike. He said I had to. I wish my accent was cool. Smiley said get her. Oh gosh. It's like making fun of somebody with a deformity. They can't help it, y'all. I can't help it. I don't even realize I'm saying it. You see how casually I said it? And then he let me speak. He let me speak and then attacked me brutally. He brutally did it. I'm just kidding. I don't even realize I'm saying it that way until somebody points it out. But I don't know any other way to say it. Soil. Soul. 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 I can't naturally say soil. Soul. Soil. That sounds like a lot of work. That's a lot of work to say that. But absolutely, I'm not against the cover crop. And I was actually, I think, talking to Mike about doing more greens this year for a cover crop in our bad areas of the garden. Because I really want to better our soil. I want to better our soil. And we have been. We've been working really hard on our soil to keep it fertilized naturally. I have been adding the dreaded hay to our soil. I know it's going to cause weeds. I know it's going to cause grass to grow up, but it's mixed with rabbit manure, and I know it's going to help the garden. And is it going to make more work? Are we going to have to weed? He said, "Say it your way. It's better." I'll slip. I'll slip just in a second. You'll see. He said, "See, it is hard. It's very hard, actually." It's very hard to say it like that. It's so much work. He said, "Maybe we sound silly." I wouldn't trade my accent for nothing. I really wouldn't. I love it. But I know it's going to cause weeds. I know it's going to cause a lot more grass, but I really want to improve the soil. And the way that we've done that is by adding hay and manure. And I feel like on a farm, with your Kentucky accent, yeah, it's harder with my Kentucky accent. I feel like it's harder, or no, what am I saying? You got me confused now. I feel like it's easier. I'm sorry. I feel like it's easier and more common for people to have access to manure if they live in a rural area. So I mean, I know not everybody raises animals. Chicken manure is something that you have to, let, it's not ferment. I can't think of the word, but, break down. You've got to let the acidity in the manure to break down. Same thing with cattle, same thing with horses. You've got to let the acidity in the manure break down. But I don't have to do that with rabbits. And so I could maybe set up a tray system for the rabbits to catch the compost, to catch the, hey, how are you? To catch the, all right, Smiley, we'll see you in a little bit, to catch the manure without adding the hay. But honestly, I feel like the soil can benefit from, he said manure is fertilized NH4. I feel like the soil can benefit from the hay, although it's going to make more work in the long run by having to weed and things. I would rather do the weeding and have the grass grow now. Have the grass grow now as later on still having soil that's not better. And so, like I said, we've been adding hay and manure, and we have within the last few years been able to grow more things, grow better quality things in our clay ground, our clay soil. And I was on a video the other day, and somebody said they'd love to grow a garden, but they can't because they have clay soil. And I told them, I was like, you know what? Yes, you can. Check out our videos, and I'll show you how we've done it. And we've done it successfully. We've done it successfully. We've been able to grow. Better. Better plant, better quality of produce. We've been able to grow more plants. We've been able to grow a larger variety, and been able to, have a larger amount of crops and do better just by adding something simple as hay and manure. Now it isn't, it's a large area, so we have to, work on one area at a time and better each area. Because right now all we have is just the small rabbitry, just a small amount of rabbits, because we've sold our cattle and sold our horses, so we don't have that large amount of manure like we once would have. So this year I've been working on the area that we hadn't really touched with the horse manure, and really working heavy on putting hay and rabbit manure in there, just to help with the soil. Let me see. There's been a lot of comments, so let me go back up here. Remember soil? So I got TikTok, so I haven't been on. Oh no, not the TikTok. You said compost smells like cow butt. Yeah, it does. I don't really mind the smell of cow butt, though. How many hectare of ground do you have? I have no clue. I don't know. We measure in acres here. And we have, I don't know what the different, I don't know how many hectares it would be. We have a 3-acre farm, and our garden is around, probably, I've said a half an acre, but it's probably a little less than a half an acre. You said my compost smells like forest floor. If your compost smells the earth, it's because it's gone aerobic. Manure is fertilized ammonia, yeah. He said, Alan, don't expose it. Let's see. Yeah, I don't necessarily mind the smell of cow manure. I thought you were just talking about the smell of cow manure. Oh. But yeah, I think just adding that manure, and like I said, now we're adding rabbit manure. Rabbit manure can be put directly on the garden. We don't have to worry about any composting or anything like that. We can just put it directly on. Are you saying 1 acre equals 405 hectare? Hectare? I don't know exactly how they say it over there. He says I'm on 1.2 hectares. Hector. That sounds worse than soul. It sounded more redneck than soul. Oh my gosh, I have missed your all's conversation. Now I don't even know where we're at. I actually enjoy the smell of manure. Is that odd? My dad always used to say when we were kids, because there's a lot of horse farms here in Kentucky. For those of you that don't know nothing about Kentucky, that's all we got here is horse farms. And y'all see that hair? That's driving me nuts. And my dad would always say, I smell money when you'd smell a horse. But oh my gosh, I love the smell of cow manure and horse manure. It smells so good. You walk into a barn and you smell it, and the only smell of manure I don't like is chicken manure. You walk into somewhere that hasn't been cleaned and you smell chicken manure, it has a very high ammonia content and it does not smell good. You used to like the smell of gas? You said your grandpa was the same way as us, loving the smell of manure. I love it. I love the smell of cow. Oh, I don't like the smell of boar goat. That's not the funnest smell. Boar goat, like a male goat, or a buck goat is what I meant to say, smells like dirty armpit. They have a smell that is above all others of stink. It's really, you like chicken liver? My husband loves chicken liver and gizzards. Loves liver and gizzards. That's one of his favorite meals, is liver and gizzards. I'm not big on the texture. I think I've missed. Y'all just having a big time, and I'm not even going to scroll up. I'm just going to let you all do you. Just have a big time. But what was I saying? I can't remember what I was talking about. But I love the smell of manure, and just the animal smell in general. My daughter loves liver and gizzards as well. My grandmother loved livers and gizzards. Talking about squishy, somebody I was talking about squirrel because we love squirrel, and I was talking about squirrel on here, and I was talking about how my great grandfather loved squirrel brain, and he loved to eat squirrel brain, and when he would hunt, they said that he's got it's such a good shot that he would pew pew the squirrel and miss the brain. He was able to do it to miss the brain, so he didn't have a bullet in the brain. He didn't ruin the brain of the squirrel. And I was on here, and somebody told me that you shouldn't eat squirrel because it has some kind of chemical in it that can kill you. It was something crazy like that. Has anybody else heard that? Yeah, see, I probably couldn't. I'd feel like the manure was getting into my mouth through the air. Hold on, I've missed something. You said I wish manure can. I don't know if I don't. Oh, the smell of burning manure probably is not great. Fried liver with hot mustard. I've not tried that. He said tree chicken ain't gonna take me out. Yeah, they commented. I can't remember what they said. And I feel like I Googled it after, and it did say that like there's some kind of chemical within the squirrel's brain that can off you. Beef liver and gravy is good. I've never had beef liver, I don't think. If I have, I didn't know. But yeah, we love chicken. I don't eat the brain. We dispose of the head and the innards of the squirrel, but maybe wasteful to some. But I've never ate the brain. But I was told a while back ago that that they could hurt you. Which my grandfather died of a heart attack, so I don't think it took him out. But anyways, he loved the brain. My grandmother, he would have been my great grandfather. It would have been her dad. She died a few months ago, and while she was on hospice, she was laying in her bed, and we were talking about squirrel, and she was telling me that her dad loved squirrel brain. And we were talking about the squirrel, and one of my cousins was there, and she said, I don't like squirrel because every time somebody's brought a squirrel and it's had a bunch of buckshot in it, I'm thinking, who in the world, which one of my cousins is shooting squirrel with a buckshot? It's completely unnecessary. I wouldn't like it either if every time I bit down into something there was a buckshot in it. They explode in the squirrel. They ain't even completely unnecessary. Plague? What plague can they carry? I was telling my husband because, we coon hunt, and he coons hunt way more than, him and my daughter go often. But I don't know. I stay home most of the time, if I'm being honest, because there's always something to do. But I told him, I said, you get me a good, decent squirrel or a good, decent coon, and I'll try to make some, coon, because I've never had it. But then I got to thinking today, if we got a coon, what's the chances of us getting rabies from the coon? You said they carry salmonella and is that leprosy? Rabies in the head. The Black Plague? Oh my gosh. Well, makes me think that I hope not. We've eaten a lot of squirrel. Probably because they get, do they get fleas? Because I thought Black Plague was just passed around by fleas. This is making me consider my whole life. Huh. Well, I guess if we get a squirrel and they got a flea or tick on them, we probably don't need to eat them. He said plagues are scary. Yeah, they are. Yeah, I didn't know they carried the Black Plague. Salmonella, I mean, there's treatments for that. Black Plague, I don't know about. I do too, so maybe. I don't know. That now Google's got me questioning everything. It's got me questioning my whole meat source. This is probably where we get all these weenies that won't drink raw milk. That's where it's from, ain't it? You said same reason why deer have fever. I I almost feel like that's why you should hunt within season. You know, maybe that's why they've got, that's probably why they have seasons for hunting. Because, I've talked about this before, squirrel get weevils. And in the summertime, see, when season starts, at least here, it's still warm outside. And we don't start squirrel hunting until it's, cooler. We've got cooler days, and it's really we don't start hunting until it's easier, and you can actually see the squirrel up in the tree until the leaves fall. But the season starts, I think, in my opinion, a little too early here because they got weevils and stuff. And well, what it is what they eat has weevils in it, and so they get them. And maybe that's why they got seasons, because things go through the animals they pass. Black plague is fine. We all got hurt. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's even more reason though that people should just stay within season, because we're talking about deer having ticks in the summertime. I mean, like we were saying, like ticks and fleas, they carry all kinds of stuff. And animals, a lot of animals get mites too. The mites are super common. Mites are common in rabbits. I usually will have a mite case, at least one rabbit that gets mites, and I believe they say birds and stuff bring them in, which we do have birds, but I think it's in the hay. And usually it's in the summertime. It's, that first cutting of hay, they get mites. And, it doesn't happen all the time, but I usually get at least, one rabbit that I have to treat for mites. Not all the time, but, it happens. And I usually get one rabbit I have to treat for mites, and like I said, it's in the hay. So I really think, in general, summertime is just not fantastic for hunting things like squirrel, deer, things like that. Me too. Need to have a bug hunting season. We'd all be like this with little microscopes, little. They're burning them with the sun through the magnifying glass. I said microscope, magnifying glass. We'll just be walking like this. I guess that's why wildfires exist. Just shoot salt bubbles. Yeah, just zap the ground. Zig, 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 zig. Just zap it. They did that to Hawaii and California now. Yeah. I call Ghostbusters pest control. Huh, that is interesting. I've never heard of a bug gun. We don't really have... But the worst bugs around here are ticks. We've got ticks out the wazoo. Do y'all have... We call them little turkey ticks. That's what we call them, little turkey mites. And they're little tiny ticks. Actually, my husband's cousin's son, so my husband's second cousin, his little boy, and got a tick that attached to his eye. And somehow got to the back of his eye, and he had to have it removed and everything because a tick got back there on his eyeball. No, they're not red. They're black. They're little tiny. I mean, tiny. These are not like the red ones that you see that don't really... I've never had a red one attach itself to me. These are like... trying to find something to compare them to. They're like the size of the point of a pencil. No, they somehow he had some kind of procedure done and got the They got the tick off his eye somehow. I have no clue, but it attached itself to his eye. Me and my husband, one time we were herping, I think we were herping, and we got into a nest of these, what we call turkey mites. Or, little tiny ticks. And we were getting in the vehicle, and I looked down and I told Andy, I said, there's something crawling all over me. I looked down, and they're so small that they can't really bite onto you like your skin. And I think that's why it got attached to his eye, because it's soft. But they're so tiny that they can't really attach to you, so they just bite you. They eat you up. And we had got into a nest of them. And when I looked down at my legs, and he was covered in them too, it was like a shadow. It was so full that it just looked like a shadow crawling on our legs. And we came home, got in the shower, and they fall right off of you because they can't attach to you. They're so small. But you got to make sure you clean yourself good, because if they get stuck somewhere and you don't know it, you're in trouble, because they're so small. Like if they get in your ear or somewhere you can't see, I mean, like they were on that boy's eyeball, I mean, you're in trouble. And so we came straight in, got showers, and they fall right off, but we were covered in bites where we got in a nest. It was so many bites. Like I said, it was like a shadow moving on our legs. But yeah, it was bad. And we've got those little things, and those that I don't know if our state introduced some type of animal, because they have introduced elk, and I think a couple other different breeds of animals from different places, and I don't know if those animals brought these ticks into our area, but you'd never seen those ticks 10 years ago. They're just a recent tick that has come into our area, and they are awful. They're like overproducing where they've been brought in to the area. They're not native here. They've been brought in. And so they're completely overproducing, and they're awful. And then of course we have dog ticks and, like your little brown ticks and things like that. But those are ones you can see. These are, ones you don't even see, and they just get in areas that you don't know that they're there. Is awful. And they bite the tar out of you. Let me see. Be careful, zapping. That's how Honey I Shrunk the Kids happened. He said, I put gas in your ear. Diesel better, yeah. Yeah, they're awful. I wish I could explain their size, but the best way I can explain it is like the end of a pencil. Just the point end of the pencil. It's awful. Well, guys, I've been on here for almost 2 hours, an hour and 46 minutes. I think I'm going to hop off. I've got to get my shower for this evening. I don't know what time it is. Oh, it's about 10 o'clock. Yeah, I've definitely got to get my shower and get ready for bed. But I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate everybody hanging out. For those of you that are on and haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Pretty please. And if you haven't double tapped the screen to like the video, please double tap the screen. That helps with the algorithm. That helps, them find me. And of course, guys, y'all come back and hang out. I loved having this conversation. These conversations has been fun. Y'all have been fun to hang out with. I try to do a live every night. If I don't do it every night, I do it multiple times a week. This is my second live today. So I do try to do it. I didn't do as many this week, and so I've tried to make up for it by doing two lives. This week. Thank you, Mike, for being my mod. We haven't had any, I haven't deleted one comment, so it has been a wonderful live. We haven't had any trolls. Thank you, Alan, and thank you, Darth Vader of the Red Pill. I just read your full name. But thank you all so much. It's been wonderful. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. But peace out, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.